What is going on, everyone? My name is Juan and welcome back to another all-in-one video. So I want to talk about something I saw on Twitter. I was also inspired by the most recent episode of ATS Pro Talk to talk about this because the topic of that show deals with this. The tweet I'm referring to is from I'm B-Rad and says this: Esports hot take. Casters are the least important part of a broadcast and should be paid like it. Admins, observers, and production are more essential to a broadcast. Alright, so my goal is not to send hate to the originator of this tweet. My goal is to provide my subjective opinion, which just so happens to disagree with him. Everyone has a right to their own opinion, so if you disagree with mine, that's totally fine. But if you are open to hearing another perspective to further round out your opinion, then you're in the right place. Disclaimer, I am not a caster, nor have I ever worked in a broadcast production setting, esports or otherwise. My perspective is purely based as an esports viewer/lover, so as always, take it with a grain of salt. When I was about 13 or 14 years old, I still had the mentality that video games were just for fun and for kids, and that maybe I would outgrow them. Then one day, I discovered MLG and the competitive Halo scene. My mind was instantly blown seeing how serious everything was being taken. The teams, the players, the coaches, the referees, the spectators, etc. But what truly captivated and enthralled me were the casters, who provided in-depth color commentary, exciting play-by-play analysis, and encapsulating player/team storylines. This was a whole new world that would forever change my perspective on gaming. I would be remiss to not mention the legendary caster, Chris Puckett, who, to many OG Halo fans, is the voice of competitive Halo. His casting, alongside the likes of DMAC, Gandhi, Shockwave, even Sundance himself, were what made me instantly invested in players and teams whom I otherwise had no context. Just seeing organized competition in a video game I loved was mind-blowing enough, but that added layer of real-time professional casting was what sealed the deal for me. I fell in love with esports before I even heard that term. I have been incredibly blessed to have not only met Puckett, but actually worked with him to produce his top 5 Halo Infinite play series, and also a bit for the Call of Duty League, where we went around New York City and asked strangers if they could identify professional Call of Duty League teams by just their logos. Now, I really am just strictly a Halo/HCS fan. I did not grow up playing Call of Duty and know next to nothing about their competitive scene. Quite honestly, I could have been in that skit and not done much better than the other participants. But anyway, fast forward to the latest CDL Championship weekend. I tuned into the stream because one, I wanted to see the project I worked on being broadcasted to a huge audience, but also two, I wanted to use this as an opportunity to get curious about Call of Duty. And while I didn't quite know what was going on at all times, hearing the casters getting hyped, and then in turn the crowd getting hyped, really captivated me and kept me tuned in. And if you're wondering, I did find myself rooting for Toronto Ultra just because something about Scrap made me want him to win, even though I could tell he was kind of the villain of the scene. So even not knowing the game, I was able to find enjoyment, which I do credit the casters with. The point I'm trying to make is that casters are so crucial to the spectator and viewer experience. From the storylines that they spend so much time meticulously researching, to generating real-time hype by keeping their commentary up with fast-paced, world-class gameplay, they transcend gaming into what we now call esports. Now, I'm not trying to say that they are more or less important than admins, observers, or anyone else in the production team, but more so that everyone plays an equal part in putting on a show, and implying that casters aren't pulling as much weight and therefore shouldn't be paid as much is, in my opinion, an absolutely abysmal take. In all aspects of my life, and in the general attitude I like to put forward, I never want to invalidate, devalue, or dismiss someone's worth, especially in the form of diminishing them through comparison of their colleagues. Unless it's absolutely near objectively warranted, I just do not believe in spreading negativity towards others. And quite frankly, this tweet, this take, is just a slap in the face to all the hard-working casters that put in so much effort to entertain us and give esports that much more legitimacy. And don't even get me started on women casters and the additional hate / objectification / unfair shit that they get simply for being women. That is a whole other discussion that warrants its own video. But the bottom line is, they have it harder. They have to work twice as hard to get half as much respect, and we should be giving them more opportunities and taking them more seriously. I also wanted to highlight Golden Boy's reply to this. Another caster, commentator, host who I highly respect. He's literally in every esport, so I think he knows what he's talking about. The amount of times I showed up and had to rewrite the show because some overpaid producer doesn't know the game, or the amount of times talent had to actually produce a show despite not being paid for it, yep, totally useless. Get out of here with that trash ass take. I've had to block cameras for a show because production didn't consider rotating casters for breaks and didn't prepare for that. I rewrote an entire run of a show hours before we went live because of incompetence. I know I am worth more than the rate I am paid, period. I want to be clear, I shouldn't have to do these things. I'm paid to do the job as noted in my contract, but when you care about something, you want to fix incompetence. Production companies abuse that passion regularly and oftentimes uses it against us, yet we're useless. So yeah, I just think this goes to show how much work casters do and how much we don't see. Sure, we see the glam of them being on camera, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And for the original tweet to come from a caster himself is just even more mind-boggling. But again, I am not here to send hate his way. I am just here to state how I see things, and my perspective is just one of many who you, the viewer, can take into consideration when forming your opinion on this topic. Which leads me to the question, I want to know, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. Made it this far in the video, you are a real one. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, go all in.
By the way, check out All in One on TikTok. He posts some really great TikTok content.